Hello lovelies, miss me during E3 week? I promise I'll never leave you again, except maybe for Gamescom. But we're not quite done with E3 yet, as this episode is devoted to reliving the best of the show, recapping the biggest announcements, saluting the brave winner of our presenter competition, Joe, and at the same time counting down our top 5 games of the show. Our first stop, after clobbering jet lag over the head with a club made of bacon, were the pre-show conferences. EA got things underway with an hour-long firework of explodey decibels, which included the excellent-looking Need for Speed Most Wanted, a surprise announcement from the president of the UFC.
We're thrilled to finally be working together. That makes 2 of us.
And Isaac Clarke giving a necromorph indigestion in Dead Space 3. Then came Ubisoft, who delivered the first of our top 5, thanks to an awesome showing from Assassin's Creed 3. In particular, the so real we were seasick on the Spanish journalists in front naval battle. If that wasn't enough, Ubi also went straight on to whip out what eventually ranked as our number 4 favourite of the show, the scuzzy techno open-worlder Watch Dogs, which showed off its freshness by featuring hands in pockets and wearing a hat. The leather coat physics looked pretty swish too.
We don't hang out because we kill each other.
Finally, up stepped PlayStation to announce 2 mega PS Vita titles, Assassin's Creed 3 Liberation and Call of Duty Black Ops Declassified, before truly blowing the lid off the place with the reveal of Quantic Dream's Beyond Two Souls and Naughty Dog's Bruce Straley playing The Last of Us like an absolute boss. More on those 2 later.
Did we lose them?
Yeah,
But we're not in the clear, right?
not while we're in this city.
Speaking of PlayStation, the first job we handed to Access community champion Joe Merrick was to give us a guided tour of the luxurious PlayStation area in the show's West Hall before the show doors opened to let the unwashed throng inside. Blue.
Now, this area up here is for special guests only. Only a few folk got up here. There's a whole host of Vita titles already to play, like Little Big Planet. There's also a nice glass cabinet full of all the Sony handhelds that are out right now, including all the mobile phones, HTCs, etc., and a tasty wee PlayStation Vita. Now, obviously, the biggest game on show, the one that everybody wants to play, is God of War Ascension. There's about 1 million booths set up here, and obviously nobody's playing them right now because nobody's in yet. But we thought we'd give you a wee look at just how big a deal God of War is. In fact, talking about how big a deal it is, there's big Kratos himself, looking grumpy as always. And one of the big games that everybody's dying to play, PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale. It's a massive barney between all the big PlayStation characters, including Kratos, that guy for Twisted Metal that I can't remember the name of, and a whole host of other folk. Ni no Kuni, this is one of the games that I've been dying to play for years and years and years. Big Studio Ghibli fans like me, people who grew up watching Spirited Away, etc., are going to be lapping this game up when it comes out. And in the centre of the room here, we've got what can only be described as 1 million PlayStation Vitas. It's probably the most expensive display of handheld technology ever seen. So we're going to step onto the 1970s dance floor here. Gravity Rush, one of the big games, that's out soon. Now, Sound Shapes is one of the games, I had a wee shot of this before. It just shows off what the PlayStation Vita can do, and it's nice to see it here again.
Shortly after, at midday on Tuesday, the dams of grumpy security guards burst and a tsunami of gamers poured into the LA Convention Centre for 3 days of, well, queuing mostly, but also a hot lineup of not yet released PS3 crackers. Our show floor prowling took us past the Sega booth, which didn't have any new games on show, but did have a giant spinning Sonic and the actual real alien queen from the movie Aliens. And this, which was just brilliant. Oh, there's Hideo Kojima. Over at the Namco Bandai booth, we sat Joe in Captain Kirk's chair before he showed the resulting snap to everyone in LA and stared longingly at this Tekken-branded sports car. Speaking of Tekken, isn't Namco's Katsuhiro Harada the coolest man in the world after David Bowie and that bloke from the Stella Artois advert?
Hi, my name is Katsuhiro Harada, Tekken series director. You're watching Access TV.
And you still are. Tucked away behind the giant cinema screen fronting the Square Enix booth was our number 3 game of E3, Tomb Raider, which is looking dirty, real and violent, but in a polite English way.
Sorry.
No, Lara, it's my fault. I shouldn't have been in your way. Eat me, please. Even louder and brighter than Square Enix was the monstrous EA booth, which was anchored in the centre of the show floor like a beacon of strobing light and searing noise, throbbing with guns, cars, and this Dead Space 3 developer, who we interviewed in typically hard-edged access style.
Have you ever thought about making a spin-off for kids, maybe? Maybe replace the neck and watch the teddy bears? Call it Ted Space?
No, we haven't.
Rounding off our E3 adventure, we invaded the PlayStation booth for a look at some of the more interesting titles you might not have heard about over the noise of Black Ops 2's giant guns. Unfinished Swan is a paint-based puzzler with a gorgeous art style, and PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale is a thump-happy free-for-all starring PS3 faves Kratos, Nathan Drake and Fat Princess. Most intriguing was the J.K. Rowling-penned Book of Spells, which made excellent use of both PlayStation Move and PS3's new Wonderbook peripheral.
Book of Spells is a collaboration with J.K. Rowling. It's a new book. Book of Spells brings to life spell descriptions, new stories from the world of the wizarding world. So basically it's a spellcasting book. You learn, discover, practice spells.
But without a doubt, our top 2 games of E3 2012 were PlayStation's twin giant, Beyond, and The Last of Us. We, or more accurately, a pretty starstruck Joe, were lucky enough to speak to the guys behind both.
What I like about games also is that you can really create an emotional journey with them, something that is really, really unique. It's really you. You are the protagonist, you make the decisions. That changes everything.
Did someone try to hurt you? How about a name?
The story carries on whatever happens. It's also the idea that your decisions have consequences on the plot, so you become the director, the writer, and the actor of your own story.
That's her! That's her!
I don't see anything.
Come on.
The tone of the world that we're creating, the reality that we're trying to set here is hopefully making you feel as the player that there is a risk to engaging with these guys. It's not simple, and you know that there's a consequence. When things go bad, you're going to get hurt. We started investigating, okay, what truly happens when systems collapse? What's really intriguing is the juxtaposition between the beauty, the lushness, the abandonment, the flooded streets, like the familiar and the unfamiliar. But at the same time, it's got a creepiness to it, an eeriness to it.
I got you now, motherfucker.
The thing that really kicked off all the cheering was Ellie throwing the brick. You know what I mean? The sight of this plucky young girl saving your life was a big deal for people.
Do the ends justify the means? How do you survive?
These are humans, and killing humans is not a nice thing, you know, but that's the thing we want to present to the players, that you really have no choice, that you're honestly just trying to get by in this world, and this world is so harsh and unforgiving that sometimes this brutality is necessary to get by.
And that's why Joel's so different. He's like us, but he was able to make it through. He's a survivor. He's somebody that's barely made it through, somehow by the skin of his teeth, and by possibly crossing, not even possibly, by definitely crossing some moral, ethical lines that we have firmly established right now in our world.
Be careful.
Holy shit, Joel?
Keep it together.
And that's that for an E3 packed with new games, bright lights and Ellen Page being bald. You can see more of our coverage from the event at youtube.com/PlayStation Access and by following the big E3 link from the front of the PlayStation Store. We'll be back next Wednesday with a regular dose of Access TV in episode 38. See you then.